Episode 82, Two Chaps, Many Cultures. Are we shy? Are we reserved? Are we a little bit holed up and quiet? Or are we outgoing, gregarious, and just friendly with people? Who knows? There's two baskets that are often defined, introverts and extroverts. And what does culture have to do with it? We'll find out today. It happened. The music ended. What is the music?
Because, we are so excited to get really out there in front of people. We want to.
What is this? What is it? We need to do this again. I like my music. Here we go.
Okay.
Yes, technology.
No.
Having this.
Nothing to do with the technology. It was all me, my friend. I hit a button.
Come on, I just had you back. Oh, I just passed the bucket. Welcome everybody to Chaps, Many Cultures, episode 82. Today we'll be talking about introversion, extroversion, or extraversion. I think there's two different ways to say this. As you're watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on, I don't know, maybe on your big screen television at home, who knows? Leave us a comment. Say hello to us. Where are you watching from? What time of day it is where you are in the world? Whose glasses are better, mine or his? Seriously, we had comments about my glasses the other day. Apparently they are a distraction to some. I mean, it's okay. It's okay if you. We're trying to not distract you too much with our amazing appearances. So, I'm just playing the extrovert here. Brett, are you? Can you even reciprocate the eye contact here?
Well, I don't know. I'm just listening. I got nothing much to say, which is kind of unusual for me, I guess. People are going, who are you and what did you do with Brett? So introverts and extroverts. Yeah, it's a common conversation we have with people. And is there a cultural component to it that may be at play?
I would think so. I'm as we wrote in the little blurb for this episode. I think culture is not to be neglected when we throw around these labels: extrovert, introvert. I mean, who identifies as which? And by the way, to settle the glasses conversation, Ted in California says his Oculus Quest 2 glasses are the best. Well, we have to take your word for it, Ted. I have no idea what these glasses are like, but Oculus is a great name for glasses. Either way, well done, Facebook.
I know what Ted's talking about because I've got a set of Oculus glasses and they are cool. They are very cool.
But you look like a fly when you wear them. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but virtual reality is very cool. That is very cool. Which brings to mind, actually, one of the aspects of virtual reality, and maybe Ted and I connect online across virtual platforms, is that you have to kind of step out of your comfort zone and be even in a virtual space. You're asked to put yourself out there and engage with people, because when you're online, you don't have. I know my audio is feeding back a little bit, so I don't know what's going on there.
Thanks for letting us know, Ted.
Yeah.
It says 21st century studio equipment here, okay?
That's right.
Don't question our setup. It's perfect.
State of the art.
Extrovertedly perfect. We're working
state of the art. but it is, you know, an aspect of the work that we do, that we try and answer people's questions about what is appropriate in different cultural settings. If you are an extrovert in some cultural settings, which might serve you well in your home culture, where you're outgoing and you bring a lot of vocal interactivity to the table, you are speaking your mind pretty regularly, you are the one that's always last to leave the party, first to get there and last to leave the party, in a social setting, which is also important for the culture that you're in. But you know, there's the in-between bits which are difficult, right? I would say that I'm quite happy to be an extrovert in terms of, say, a conference or something, being there and you know, talking to a lot of people, asking questions, listening to a lot of conversations. But there is a point where it kind of wears me out, and I need to retract, you know, and I'm not necessarily drawn to being the person who goes out late at night with people, even though sometimes culturally it might be appropriate to do so. So this is what, while we talk about the extremes, there's also the aspect of the bits and in between, which you have to kind of balance, right? So it's kind of difficult to do.
And I find it a little problematic to be issuing these labels. Somebody is an introvert or somebody's an extrovert. What that means could possibly be different things in different cultural contexts, right? So in North American culture, extroversion seems to be much more rewarded than it is, let's say, in Asian cultures, or at least many Asian cultures. So the certain behaviors seem to be reinforced by the group to which one belongs, and hence we have that conversation. I think it was C.J. Young who started with the labels of extroverts and introverts, because he recognized that this is something that could cause conflict within a group if you tend to be the opposite of which your group rewards, right? However, I think there isn't, to your point, Brett, it's not black and white. Some people can be very extroverted. We are showing our extroverted side as we go on this program for a couple of minutes. Most of you watching don't know what Brett and I look like once the camera is off. Maybe we go back to our cave and turn the lights off and go back in our embryonic state. I'm exaggerating, but extroversion, introversion isn't something that you're always on or off. I think there's a spectrum in between, and depending on which environment you find yourself, or which function you're trying to bring, right, depends or determines how much extro or introversion you bring to the situation.
Absolutely. I think it brings to mind to if you're in a place, I mean, I think there's a short term of being able to practice something that's not comfortable to you, that's outside of your comfort zone. And that may be, I mean, perhaps it might be said it's easier to be an extrovert when you're an introvert. Perhaps it's easier to do that because you've got some point of reference. You can look at somebody who's extroverted and you can go, okay, I can kind of play that part for a short period of time. I mean, it's tiring to do it for a longer period of time, but overall, if you're doing it the other way, if you're an extrovert and you're sitting there and you really know that in the situation you've got to be somebody who's kind of quiet and reserved, that can really bring up some tension. You know, I guess both could be the same. I mean, I'm no psychologist, so I think that both are at play in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone. But culturally, it can play an impact on how you're seen and how you bring yourself in and establish credibility with the people you're interacting with, and you know, it gets down to respect for silence and respect for the views of other people and things like that, right?
And especially as you are transitioning between environments, right, as you are coming from one behavioral preference into another, and you're expected to be successful or functional in there, and let's use again North American reward system for extroversion. If you find yourself to be a more well, not shy, but a more reserved personality type, a personality type that does not go into every situation with this gregarious, open arms, open embracing mindset. And you're coming to North America, this may be a hindrance. That this could actually hurt you in building rapport, in getting the job done, or in enrolling people in your mission, whatever that may be, selling something, engaging them in something, or convincing them of an idea. I think we're all in sales somehow, whether we are actually selling something or whether we're convincing somebody of something. It's always a sales process because it requires the other side to make a decision. Is it a, I like it, I want it, or I don't like it, I don't want it, moving on. So as we are engaging with others, as we are creating common ground with others, adjusting ourselves from extroversion to introversion or the other way around is a skill that I think requires to be practiced. It's not something, well, somebody might be talented and do this intuitively. So for sure, for myself, it took me a lot of practice to become more North American extroversion. And I now recognize when I go back to my native culture that I need to remind myself to tone it down a little bit because it is hurting me as I present myself in this ooh ah style, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and you might come from a culture like, if I meet people and they hear that I'm Australian, I think everybody, and especially people that have had any travels in the world, have stories about Aussies that they've met, right? And usually it's a stereotypical response to say, oh, I met these Australians in this country and God, goodness, you guys can party, right? You guys are, I mean, they're always the life of the party and all that kind of stuff. And so then that to me brings up an expectation for me, is like, okay, is this person saying to me that they expect me to be that, And while it might have been, I've spent a lot of time on stages as a performer, right, and a singer. So I've done a lot of performing in front of people. And it's always surprising when I get off that stage and say sit around after a gig, and people are kind of look at me and going, well, what happened to Brett? Where did that person we saw up on stage, where'd that person go? And it's like, well, I'm kind of at the end of my rope here. I've done the 3 hours of that. And it's also in terms of trainers, as a trainer or as a facilitator in coaching and things like that. At the end of the day of being in a group or even one-on-one with somebody where you're facilitating and providing a service and talking and getting feedback from people, to me, that brings out my extrovert side. But when I'm done with that and I get in my car and drive away, or even when I get offline, I just want to chill. I've done enough of it.
So I'm curious. I'm curious, the audience who's watching this, how do you identify? Would you call yourself rather extrovert or more introvert or ambivert? You're very flexible either way. And as you write it in the chat box or in the comment box, rather, be honest with yourself and be honest with us. So don't just say you're ambivert because you're such an excellent chameleon behaviorally. We lean one side. How much we lean one side is probably up to interpretation. I would say mine goes a little bit towards introversion, and I can tune it up if necessary. But my default setting is, yeah, I'm having a conversation inside my head, and I will let you participate when I'm ready. And I need to sort this out for myself first before I go public with this. How
many people are inside that head, by the way?
Well, on a good day, it's only one. If there's more than one, I need to go back on that couch that's in the other building over there.
There's a great meme at the moment. If I'm being quiet, just leave me alone. I'm having a staff meeting.
Exactly. And I had this conversation. I had this conversation the other day when I think it was a mutual friend from Slovakia who was describing what's going on in the world from his perspective. And I'm not going to name names, but what happened at the end of this conversation was our country, in which both you and I live currently, after November 3rd, I think the country collectively needs to lay on a couch and work through some of their stuff. Introvert or extrovert, I don't care. We need to work through this. So Karen says she's introverted. She's an introverted extrovert.
Yeah, introverted extrovert.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Way to dodge the question. All right. Good.
Way to dodge the question. Yeah. Way to hedge your bets. Yeah. Thanks very much. Right. Did you not hear Christian say you got it honest? I can attest to that. Right. I think everybody inherently has these skills inside of them. When working with clients, I often say, I'm here to really bring out what you already know. I'm not here to invent some new identity for you that you have to pretend to be. There is inherently in everybody some degree of extrovertness and introversion that they can exercise on a daily basis. And it's about consciousness. It's consciousness of being aware of when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate to do it. And so that's that. I think that's the key. I just think it's about awareness of understanding that people really have this inside them, to be a bit of both. And it could also be the people around you. Maybe the people having other people around you that can let you off the hook too. Right? That could be that. I'm glad Joe's here in the room because I don't have to actually carry that basket of being the party person in the room.
I think it's so. I don't want to discredit those who fall on either end of the spectrum, because I think for a true introvert, it can be painful to be thrown into a situation where it's required of them to be much more outgoing. And on the flip side, it is quite difficult for a true extrovert to contain themselves or to hold back a little bit and give space to others. I think it's one of the basic human needs is to get validated, get a validation from the world around us. And for an extrovert, their validation is one that is hopefully immediate, as they are being open and friendly and gregarious. They get an instant response, which they need. That's the food for validation for them. An introvert doesn't need that. They get their validation from maybe an email or text message that was sent in peace and quiet and say, hey, nice job, by the way. And that will make their day. However, be stretched in either direction for those of us who live on the ends of that behavioral spectrum, that is quite a challenge. So it takes practice, it takes patience, it takes somebody who can help guide that process, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Karen says there finally, it's like it is being an extrovert, understanding that there is a context where you're able to be the person that's gregarious, but there is a point where it goes, okay, I'm out of steam, and it's time for me to realize that that's the case. I mean, there may be, if you're trying too hard, there might be that expectation or that understanding that essentially people are going to know. People are going to kind of know when you're trying too hard and you're not comfortable doing it. So don't push yourself into that, and give yourself the grace to say, like I mentioned, the conference example, being at a conference all day, talking and really connecting with people. And, in our work, we do connect people on a very deep way. We have some very deep, conversations. And so there is a point where me personally, I just want to go back to the room, turn some music on, read a book. I may check in with some emails or something like that, but there's nothing more than that sanctuary of a private space to be able to just debrief. Yeah,
I think as you alluded to the deeper work that we do, I think it is essential if you find yourself to be crossing cultures for work or for whatever, I don't care for what reason, but if you want to be successful in a different cultural context, I would advise you to familiarize yourself with the group behaviors that are more rewarded in the environment that you're entering, because you might need a little bit of adjustment. You might need a little prodding or a little bit reining in, depending on which way it goes. And you can really lose a deal. You can you can fall on your face flat if you think that your way of expressing ideas, thoughts, presenting products, services, widgets is the best way to do it because that's how it's been working at home with your people. That may not fly, right? Your North American extroversion is not going to cut it in Japan, or your Central Eastern European reservedness and stoicism is not going to convince anyone in Canada, because you will be looked at as somebody who is hiding something, right? So extroversion, introversion are not simply personality types. They are also an indicator for you. What's your baseline? What is, from which vantage point can you stretch your behavioral muscles? Do I go this way, that way? How far can I stretch this?
Absolutely. So let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, we got the contact. Share this episode with the people, the extroverts or the introverts that you are so fortunate to be connected with, and ask them. Have a conversation. Have your own conversation. Start your own live show. I don't know.
Maybe about glasses. I don't know.
And make sure you get the glasses.
Are you still being distracted, people?
We need to. Maybe this is kind of like, there used to be a show in the UK called The Two Ronnies. Remember, you ever see that show? It was a comedy.
I never lived in the UK, so no.
No, I know, but I mean, it was kind of. We used to watch it in Australia all the time, and the kind of icon for that show was the two of them in their different glasses. And your glasses always remind me of the two Ronnies. You look it up, the two Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Corbett. They were hilarious. Pretty humorous.
All right, I shall, Ronnie. I shall be henceforth. All right.
Yeah, pick a Ronnie. Pick a Ronnie. That's what we're trying to say.
I find it ironic. All right, so I am out of steam for today. This is all of the extroversion you get from me today. Now I'm going to go back and read my book.
Go and have a lie down. All right.
Episode 82, Two Chaps, Many Cultures. Share this, comment, follow us. I didn't tell you how to do this. See, there's a scroller thingy on the bottom. This is where you find us on all the socials. Share this, comment, invite people to watch it. Come on the program, be a part of this. We want you. You know who you are. You haven't been on here yet, but you know you want to, and you have something to share with the world. We'll give you an opportunity. We'll hand you a mic. Here it is. All right. Two Chaps, Many Cultures. We're out for today. Happy, Tuesday, at least on my end of the globe. Happy Tuesday. See you all tomorrow.